Hello and welcome to this episode of Women in Mobility. Our guest for today is Ms. Vishakha Bhagat. She is the lead of Campex India of Volvo Group. Vishakha Bhagat is a trailblazer in the world of innovation and technology for futuristic mobility. With an impressive 16-year journey dedicated to shaping safe and sustainable mobility solutions, Vishakha's story is nothing short of extraordinary. Not just a professional, she is a passionate advocate for open innovation and sustained collaboration. Armed with an MBA from Symbiosis University and a degree in controls engineering, Vishakha's academic background underscores her multidisciplinary approach to innovation. Vishakha, welcome to the show.
Thank you, lovely. It's an honor to be a part of this initiative.
Thank you.
Good to be in the Women in Mobility series.
Vishakha, can you talk a little bit about your aspirations during your school days?
Thank you for that question, Murli. In fact, this question gives me an opportunity to walk down a memory lane. So, in school, I was not very academically inclined. In fact, mathematics was a nightmare.
Oh, I can't believe.
Yes, I understand. And STEM was a career which was far beyond the horizon. The only thing which I was probably fascinated a lot about was cars and gadgets. And during one such summer break that I had when I was visiting a cousin, I happened to come across a scientific calculator. And that caught my eye. So that's something which I realized that, if there is a tool like a scientific calculator, maths or mathematics can be fun too. From there, I decided to pursue my career in engineering, which is a very different story because until I was 16, I wasn't sure what I really wanted to be.
Okay, the calculator changed your complete approach towards science.
Yes. Again, this we're talking about many years back. Sorry for not revealing my age if you're indirectly, but many years back when the advent of computers wasn't as much, and scientific calculator was a lot like a pocket computer that you carry.
Yeah.
So that, and then the inaccessibility or the fact that it is a rare device which is only accessible to engineers, something which is aspirational. So that is something which got me thinking that should I think and consider the career in automotive, it will keep me closer to technology, it will keep me closer to engineering.
Could you share some insights into your current role and the journey that led to this position?
In my current role, I lead Campex Hub in India. We are responsible for partnering with a lot of startups and ecosystem partners, bringing in the best of innovations to accelerate our business. It also gives me a kind of a vantage point across the Volvo Group where I can connect with a lot of product owners and business owners, understand technology challenges, business challenges, and find the right fit in terms of product innovation, process innovation, and business innovation. So this is where I am right now. But the backwards, the journey has been quite interesting of when I have come and joined the Volvo Group. So I start with my first job if that's fine. Please. So when my first job was with AREI, that is Automotive Research Association of India. That's where my journey in automotive engineering started. And the first assignment that I had, as a fresh engineer out of college, was to develop, design, code, do the wiring as well as commission the, as I remember, the impact rig that we have for headrest. And it's been, I think, 16 years or so, but it is still working is what I understand from a colleague that I, just caught up with a couple of weeks back. So that was very interesting where I had my foundation when I was responsible for automotive electronics. I was responsible for test rig automation. I had an opportunity to learn LabVIEW, MATLAB, Simulink, and applied it in various such test rigs and automations that we had across the company. And going ahead, I did come to a point where, I did decide to go closer to the product because I was always auto-passionate. That is exactly where the transition happened from AREI, where I joined Mahindra Research Valley in Chennai. Okay. And that's where I worked on the very aspirational product, which was launched in 2011. I was responsible for ADAS, ECUs, and a few body control modules that we had across the platforms. In that role, it gave me an opportunity to understand the systems and the subsystems across the vehicle. Also to be able to connect with the product which will be launched in the market and to understand how the entire B2C scenario works. So yes, and from I think that was with the Mahindra bit. That was also when I was in Chennai. So it was a very different cultural experience as well from me coming from a different part of the country. Um, I did parallelly also pursue my hobbies when I was in Chennai. So a job and the career, the jobs that I have moved across the industry have also given me this opportunity to work in different capacities in different locations within the country and outside the country as well, learning the cultural aspects as well. So from Mahindra Research Valley, in my second stint of ARAI, I joined the technology roadmap group where I was responsible for active safety technology. We developed an intelligent lighting system that did involve a lot of algorithm development, which was customized to suit the Indian consumer need. Along with that, I also had an opportunity to have a dual role. So while I was part of the technology group and developing algorithms, developing solutions, doing research, I was also responsible for certain homologation activities. So in this, it gave me an opportunity to visit our customers, representing ARA as a testing authority, and being actively involved in the journey of India bringing in more safer norms and regulations into the country. So that was, I think, one during 2017-18, where a lot of new safety regulations came in, and I was very fortunate to be part of the team during that tackling.
Wow, wow, that's a very power-packed journey. At any point in your life, have you ever felt that your career would have been better if you were a male?
That is a very difficult question to answer, really. So I had a very gender-neutral upbringing. We lost our father very early, and my mother, I saw her in the role of being the provider and the nurturer as well. So with that, and with the fact that, all three of us siblings were treated in an equal manner, irrespective of the gender that we had, I grew up in an environment where gender was a very fluid concept. Hence, if I really have to answer your question with enough of conviction, I feel that, I should relive my life being a man.
Vishakha, I think you worked in a male-dominated organization all through. I think whether it is a testing agency or an OEM or any company for that matter. What were the challenges, and then how did you mitigate them?
First of all, let me again reflect on the phrase male-dominated industry or organizations. So yes, traditionally it has been a male-dominated organization or industry, but I'm seeing changes. I'm seeing changes in terms of technology as well. While we're having more of electrification, we're having more of autonomous vehicles, and that as the number of lines of code are increasing in the vehicle, so are somewhere the number of women in automotive. So I don't know, that could be an interesting study to pursue maybe. But interestingly, the things are very different now. I see them very progressive. But early when I joined, there were times when I used to work on the shop floor, sometimes being the only woman on the shop floor and working hands-on on many technology and equipments and systems. So I was met with certain skepticism, but I think with a good amount of logic, and I feel a strong conviction and the data to support what you want to do and how you're doing it, there are people who believe in you. So such initial skepticism, I think all of us, sometimes being a man or a woman, have to face. What we can do is to prove the kind of value you're adding, the kind of technology you're working on, and that sets the tone.
Okay, so you had a support system there?
Yes, so I would say that I have had many women in this organization or the multiple organizations that I have worked with, women as well as men who have been my strong support system. In fact, when I was working with the regulatory body that I was talking about, and I used to be the person visiting different clients and then the only person visiting them. Sometimes there used to be an initial assumption that, probably she's young and she probably comes from a different, background. Will she be able to address? But then I have my main managers who were supporting, who were very confident in me, backing me up and saying, yes, this is something which you can do. We are very sure of it. So when I felt not very convinced whether I was able to do it or not, there were leaders and managers who were with me. So in fact, I did happen to work in technology group with one of the women leaders that we all, I think she's very well known, Mrs. Ujwala Karle. She has also been a very strong support system, not just when I was in ARI, but otherwise as well. Interestingly, I have seen women in the automotive industry support other women a lot more. I have my current leader as well, who's our head of campus globally, and then Nicholson. She has been my role model, and when it comes to certain times when I feel like I should be looking up to someone who is in a leadership position, has already probably fought the battles that I'm fighting and has won a lot of them. So probably these are the women who I look up to. So there has been a very strong support system. Now here I spoke about the women, I spoke about my manager, but when it came to my team members, when it came to people who supported me as my, I would say, extended teams or my members of my cross-functional teams, so I have never seen any sort of discrimination from their side. They have been kind, they have been considerate, and I did not feel that gender was ever an issue. It was not an issue. So I did feel very equal amongst them. Even the team that I'm working with now, the brilliant cross-functional campus team that we have, we do have a lot of women now because I think things are changing. But still, gender, I do not see that as a problem on the table, or the issue on the table at all.
You also worked in many companies beyond boundaries. Have you faced similar challenges?
So interestingly, outside India, there are many different cultures that I have worked with. I happen to do a few assignments across Europe in various countries, a few in Japan as well. One such incident was when I was visiting Japan, and I was in a all-male Japanese delegation, and the only woman there. Interestingly, they did find, as in, I never thought of it, but they were very considerate to bring in one of their women colleagues to join us for a party, for a dinner, so that I feel comfortable amongst them. So that was something which touched me. So if I look back at it, I would not think of it, what they're thinking me of a woman, but I would rather welcome the thought of me having a company, and I do not feel uncomfortable because I'm coming alone from a remote nation, coming to a land of a different culture, speaking different language. So that's one part of it. And then there have also been incidents where there can be certain amount of biases against you, like gender biases. I think a lot of us go through that, being a man, being a woman. Interestingly, it is not such external biases which actually affect you as much. These are some external biases which you can manage and battle. The biases that you have within you for yourself are the ones which need to be resolved first. So I have understood that as long as you are aware of yourself and you're authentic to yourself, it is easier to overcome such, first impression or skepticism that you would receive when you're in a new environment.
Okay. When did you get into the leadership role, and how was the journey from that point?
After my second stint in AII, I took one leap of faith, I'll say. So I joined Forasia, now Corvia, where I was responsible for internal innovation. I was heading the innovation for vehicle interiors. It was an all-male team, which was my first. And I remember during the interview being asked this question that, do you think that being a woman, will you be able to do that? And I said to them that I'm sorry to answer your question with a question. Why not? So it was a very interesting interaction that I had then the interviewer who was responsible for recruiting me. And interestingly, it is with this set of people that I had, later we improved the diversity in the team, of course. It was a learning where managing and leading innovation in itself, it is very important to give your team member and yourself as well a sandbox of failure, a kind of psychological safety, when one person can openly share his or her ideas without a fear of judgment or without a fear of failure. So that was one thing which I learned in the very beginning when it came to leading innovation. The second thing which I realized when I was also responsible for managing Cockpit of the Future squad, which was very specific to India, where I was responsible for working with a lot of cross-functional teams, where this was also an opportunity for me to learn about leadership without authority, which did come into play in my role in Campex as well, where we are responsible for driving a lot of proof of values across the Volvo Group, where we have product owners and business owners in charge. And we have a brilliant cross-functional team, which is from ILP, legal, purchasing, as well as, Campex being one facilitator there, supporting these product owners and business owners connect to the startups. So from learning to build this culture internally with the internal innovation teams that we had in my previous role, taking it outside the organization and also becoming responsible for the trust that we develop in the external ecosystem was a very, I think, important step and a learning journey for me. Interestingly, there were few things which were very common and which still stand true, I would say, is the openness, the transparency that you have with your team members, and a common shared purpose. So that is something which has helped me so far in my leadership role. There is a lot to learn, of course, but so far this has been where I am.
You have worked in the mobility ecosystem. How has it shaped you as a person?
Of course, being in automotive has shaped my personality personally and professionally. And on the personal front, that's how I met my husband. So interestingly, we were friends, and there was a day when his car battery drained out. And I'm a person who always carries a jumper cable and a lot of accessories. And I'm a bit prepared when I'm on the road because I love to go out for road trips. So that's exactly when I said him that, I can help you with it. And at that time, I was driving a micro hatchback, and he had a very nice sedan. He was a bit like, again, skeptical like you, like, do you know how to do this? I was like, yes, like, do you trust me to help you with this? And he did trust me. That was one aspect of it. And when I was able to successfully jumpstart his car, he, in his mind, decided to marry me. He didn't took a lot of time to share this with me, of course. But when he did, I was like, okay, is it because, I didn't jump-started your car? But then he was like, that's exactly when I realized that, okay, you can be one person. I can trust you with my car. I can trust you with my life. So that's interestingly how it shaped me. It shaped my personality, and being fond of photography, being fond of road trips, and always been closer to this industry has in a way also guided me philosophically to be able to explore new places, to explore new technologies, again to explore new startups. So I think the explorer in me has shaped over years, and the fact that mobility in itself is not just about going from point A to point B, but also enjoying that journey. So such aspects have really made me reflect and taught me to be deliberate and slow on this journey, as well as enjoying where we are going and reaching.
See, women have their own inhibitions. What is your piece of advice for the women aspirants who want to get into the male-dominated automotive industry?
Well, first of all, I think, I'm a little, when you feel guilty, you should question the guilt to begin with. What we really look at when we are presented with an opportunity is we start questioning the opportunity itself, like, do we belong there? So when you're offered a seat at the table, you might as well go sit there and make the change, make that impact that you can. And so I don't see the guilt associated to grow in an automotive industry or any industry for that matter. We should be open to receive. So another thing which I think is very supportive, and as a woman or a man who is entering in any industry for that matter, it is very important to be curious. When I think that, curiosity, though we say that it kills the cat, but it doesn't kill a woman or a man, like so far. But, that is something that will take you places. Interestingly, there was this book that I read recently, and it spoke about, it's written before pandemic, by the way, but it still spoke about uncertainty, and which we have become very, very closer and familiar with now. But I'm sure that, this has always been there. It's been lurking around. It spoke about the ability to be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So that's also why, when I was pursuing my career, I make it the point that I'm learning interesting things around that. I did my graduation in instrumentation and control engineering, but later when I was curious about the business aspects of automotive industry, I also did my master's in business administration. And when I realized that, okay, I am now in a position to lead innovation in the internet innovation team that we were talking about earlier, I did get an opportunity to study with Stanford. So I did a course with them for 1 year. This whole process of learning, unlearning, working from one industry or like one company to another, you carry a lot of tangible and intangible knowledge. As much as you're carrying together, putting it together, making sense and pattern and wisdom out of it. It is also important to unlearn because it's necessary that you pack lighter as well. If you're carrying a lot of information, because we already are in an environment where there is a information overload and attention deficiency. So it's necessary to remember that, what is it that we need to unlearn? What is it that we need to relearn? And to continually look at, how we are growing yourself professionally and personally.
So learning, relearning, unlearning, and continue to grow professionally. Great. Thank you, Vishakha. Thank you for being part of Women and Mobility. Thanks so much.
Thanks. So I enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks.